Welcome to the EEE360 video for lab number 11, alternator synchronization. For this lab, we'll be using the following components. We'll be using the AC power supply, the AC voltmeter, the AC ammeter, the synchronous machine, the DC motor, the synchronizing module, as well as the handheld tachometer. Here's a close-up of the synchronizing module. The connections on the top is where we're going to be connecting the grid. And the connections on the bottom, this is where we're going to be putting the output of our generator. We're going to connect there. Now the switch here, we're going to close this switch in order to connect the grid to the output of our generator. We're going to leave this open. Now we only want to close this switch when each one of these lights is dark. So when those lights are out, that's when we're going to close the switch. For now, we're going to leave the switch open, and it's important that we leave the switch open to start off with. And now the TAG Chang will make their connections for us. First, we're going to connect our DC motor. We're going to connect the positive side of our fixed DC power supply to one side of the armature winding. And now we're going to make the connections to the shunt winding. Again, we got to make this interconnection to make sure we get the entire shunt winding powered. Next, we're going to connect the neutral of our fixed DC power supply to the other side of our armature winding. And now we're going to connect the neutral point on our shunt winding as well. Now we have our DC motor set up properly. Let's provide DC excitation to our synchronous machine. We're going to go from the variable DC output to one side of our rotor windings. Now we're going to connect the neutral point of our variable DC power supply to the other side of the rotor winding. And now we have all of our connections properly made for our DC excitation. Let's go ahead and make our synchronous motor connections, our output. So we're going to connect those in Y. Now that we have all of our stator windings, we have the Y connection made. Let's connect the output of our generator. First, we're going to connect our A phase through the AC ammeter. From the AC ammeter, we're going to connect to our synchronizing module. And now we're connect the B phase stator windings of our generator to the synchronizing module. Lastly, we're going to connect the C phase stator winding to the other side of our synchronizing module. And now we have our output connected to the synchronizing module of our generator. Let's also check our line-to-line voltage. We're going to check the line-to-line voltage between phase A and phase B of the synchronizing module. And now we're going to connect our fixed AC power supply to the grid connection on our synchronizing module. So there's A phase connection. We're going to do the B phase from our fixed power supply to the synchronizing module. We're also going to connect the C phase to the grid side of our synchronizing module. Our last step, we want to check the line-to-line voltage of the fixed AC power supply. So we're going to check the line-to-line voltage between phase A and phase B. And now we have all of our connections properly made. And now we're ready to energize our machine. First, we're going to turn on the power supply, and we're going to ensure that we have that the DC motor is rotating at 1800 RPMs. Now we have 1800 RPM is the speed of our DC machine. Now that we have that set, let's start producing electricity. We're first going to close the switch so we can start providing DC excitation. And now we're going to increase the DC excitation by adjusting our variable voltage supply. We're going to be looking to make sure that we get 208 volts line to line. And now we have 208 volts line to line. Take a look at the synchronous module in the upper right hand corner. We can see that those lights are not turning on and off at the same time. This indicates that we have incorrect phase order. So let's turn off the power supply, and we're going to adjust some of the connections in the next shot. And now we're going to fix the connections. We can interchange any two of these connections, so the output of our generator. We just exchange those first two. Let's go ahead and turn on our power supply. You can see that the motor is now turning. We're going to start supplying DC excitation by closing that switch. We're going to adjust the DC excitation until we get 208 volts line to line. Now if we take a look at our synchronizing module, we can see that these lights are going on and off at the same time. Now it's very important that we actually only close the switch when all the lights are off. And now students, it is your chance to explore this and other experiments as outlined in your laboratory manual.